Gale and Astarion.
Astarion's better.
Gale's
Okay.
better.
Okay, Gale is pretty awesome though.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Now, I will go ahead and say that I've done 2.5 playthroughs, and I did not romance any guy except Halsin. I romanced Halsin, sort of, but the idea was, was that it was me and Shadowheart in my first playthrough, and Halsin was going to be like the third person,
the third.
the
They
third
just call it the
person
third.
that would hang out, and
Just hang out.
we would all like get really close, but it was still like the love was like from me and Shadowheart.
And also, Halsin loved your character too.
Yeah, Halsin loves my character.
It was a tough thing, man, because then it's like at the end you don't end up with him if you go with Shadowheart. So
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
Yeah, I still feel like you should have been able to do.
If you wanted
50,
polyamory,
50
right? That's
yeah, you could be polyamorous, but like.
But like they actually feel like there's love there too.
Yeah, because it didn't seem more like you and Shadowheart, or if Astarion, you and Astarion are the ones together, and Halsin is the one who's also there.
Yeah. He's happy before the 6 months for the meeting, and then he gets he gets sad. We were talking about how like Gale and Astarion.
Hi.
And I chose Gale because I'm biased towards Gale.
There you go. Gale is really awesome, so I will admit I'm an Astarion. Yeah. Right. So like obviously I had to romance Astarion.
Obviously.
I literally I might have been one of those people who was like, I'm gonna buy the game just so I can romance Astarion. I might have been that person.
No.
You don't know. Anyway, but I might have been. It's possible. It's a possibility. But Astarion and me, it was like no matter what I did my first playthrough, nothing I did worked. Nothing. And somehow Gale was like all about my Tav/self, I guess. I kind of played true to self, I tried romancing Gale. No. I tried romancing Astarion in the first playthrough. And then I realized when Act 3 started that it was too late. Because I got that whole thing in the game where you had to do all you're solidifying your romance option in Act 2, basically. With only the exception of Halsin and Minthara, they're Act 3 technically.
I think they all have different points of no return. Most of them are like at the end of Act 2.
Yeah. So I got into Act 3 in my first playthrough and was with Gale, but my approval rating was better with Astarion, and I think I even got like the good scenes like after what's her name? I'm drawing a blank. The bloodletting chick.
Oh.
Araj.
Like
after, I think that scene went really well, and so I was like, the approval rating is really good. It wasn't like as good as I would have liked it to be with Astarion, but it was like good enough. I read so many Reddit things and everything. Everyone's like, yeah, you just need this, and it's like I was like, I have all these things. Anyway, so I got to Act 3, and then it was like locked out of Astarion romance, and I was like, no, I can't live like this. So I went and redid it, and I just started a whole new playthrough.
Yeah.
And I was like, this time it's going to work. And it was my sorcerer.
Yeah.
I love my sorcerer. And I got this Astarion, barely. I almost missed it. I found out the thing I was doing wrong, but I got it, barely. And it was wonderful until the end of Act 3 when somehow we broke up. So it was good times. But Gale was good too. Just not Astarion.
So alright, so I will be the first to admit I have not done a playthrough yet.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about because during my 2 playthroughs where I was busy romancing other characters, Gale, he's got that cool rock and roll look to him.
He's so easy though.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest negative about Gale, because I've heard from people in the community that he's like really easy to get with.
It's like that nice guy energy of like, you smiled at me, so you love me.
I'm aware of his cons, but I'm not talking about those right now. I would probably romance in another playthrough Gale if I was going to do another one. So that's where I'm coming from as to why I think Gale is the best companion to romance from the guy side. And so, I
like his house.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It's got a really
I
nice
love
place.
how he is famous in Waterdeep.
I'm just realizing we're all like over here like I like his house. He's successful. He's famous. Yeah. He's probably wealthy. Maybe assuming he was at some point, and he probably gets back. So it's like, oh wow, not superficial. Like
not at all.
Like give me that money, you know.
When you see the scene of his house that you like,
it's a really nice house.
There's a lot of books. It's magical looking. It has a great view. All that stuff. Pretty. And it kind of gives me now. I don't know. I'm not a wizard, but it gives me the feeling that you don't just get this just by being born in Waterdeep. Like you have to work your way to get to.
Well, we know he worked hard because I mean he became Mistress Chosen and stuff too.
There's also that.
And he's a wizard, not a sorcerer, so he wasn't born.
Yeah, he wasn't born with the skills. He worked hard to get them.
He definitely did. Yeah, like.
So the fact that he worked hard and he's successful in Waterdeep prior to the events.
Look, Astarion worked hard to take all those innocent people from the streets.
Yes, he worked very hard for Cazador, and he loved every moment of it.
He absolutely did not. He was forced to do it. It's a tragic story.
I know, it is tragic. But Gale, back on Gale, though.
He was so arrogant.
Okay, yes, Gale is quite... Because he's so learned.
He's really cute, though.
He's got the rock and roll.
It's really hard to decide which one's better. No, it's not Astarion.
Okay. So, my big things is he's successful, as you see with the scene in Waterdeep. And obviously, he has to have some level of success if he was Mistress Chosen. Like, that's just a given. Yeah. If you don't count the house thing, he's at least got that.
Yeah, and also in the epilogue, if he doesn't ascend and all that, like, he goes and he comes back 6 months later and he's already, like, a really famous professor and stuff.
Yes,
it's like, it's clearly a thing of, like, everyone wanted him, right? Like, Elminster, like, you know, like...
Yeah, Elminster liked him.
What's the word? But yeah, everyone was really fond of him and like they respected him and everything. So it seems true like he went too far with his, you know, supposedly for Mistra's sake, but also we all know that seeking power.
In a way, and I'll touch on the ascending him at the end, but in a way, like
God, he's the worst.
I'll touch on that. Don't worry, I'm aware of the other con, which is that. In a way. Him being so ambitious and then the Netherese orb and all that stuff, like, yes, that's really bad that, you know, he has that and he chased that much ambition. He wanted that much magic. But at the same time, though, it kind of shows that element where he's a flawed character. So
they're all flawed.
They're all flawed.
That's not just Gale.
And I do admit that. But it shows, like, the issues of being overly ambitious to the point of like, oh, you know, and then as Tab, depending on the choices you make, having him ascend, personally, I think is the worst choice because
unless you go with him,
because it makes all that flawedness that he had with being ambitious, and it just goes way up. But if you don't have him do that, then he kind of like it. At the end, it looks like he lives a lifestyle where he's, you know, generally happy. Probably even happier if you do romance him. I say that because I had him not ascend, but I was not with him. So I feel like he was cool being a teacher. There were some things where he was like, oh man, you know, it would have been cooler if I did blank. But he seemed generally happy with where he was at the end.
Plus he's a wizard, and based on Elminster's lore, you can imagine Gale could potentially live a very long time. God, so he could always like do the things he wished he'd done later, like, you know, if he is single at the end, for example.
He wouldn't just be stuck, Yeah,
it's not like, oh well, you missed Tab, so that was it, the end, you know. I mean, I'm sure he probably has lots of girls fawning over him, and men, I'm sure. But it's like women, because I feel weird they're girls. But you know, whoever. But like
so that's kind of like on my end the talking points. He looks like a rock star. He's successful.
In robes.
A rock star in robes. Well, we all know that rock stars probably just wear robes.
In the hotel rooms.
Yeah, in the hotel rooms. And successful, and depending on how you play it, his level of ambition can be at a good point. Depending.
Can be, I mean, that's the same thing with Astarion. It's like there is a point. They both are very ambitious characters, and one is definitely more like, I guess, evilly aligned, and one's more good aligned. But they can both do things that turn them the opposite way, or the way they're already starting out. Astarion, the thing is like, Gale's ambition is all for himself. Like, it's completely, like, he just wants to be renowned and powerful and, blessed by the goddesses and, like, all this kind of stuff. Astarion, yes, his ambition is for himself, because often that's how it often goes. But the thing is, like, Astarion, I think, mostly just wants to be free. Like, his ambition, because his thing is, like, he wants, like, hijack the ritual that Cazador is going to do, because he's like, oh, I can ascend. I could be the one who never fears the sun again, doesn't have to become, be a slave to my hunger or to anyone else, or anyone, like, all this stuff. But I think it's mostly just, like, it's built around fear and the fact that he had been basically enslaved for, like, 200 years or something?
Yeah.
So it's, like...
some amount of time like that, seems right.
And it's like, we know, like, backstory-wise, he was a magistrate in the city, which does show some potential level of ambition, but also might just be a normal job for people in Baldur's Gate. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But it's, because you don't really know what he was like before. But even so, I guess it's like, Gale just wants the crown of Karsus. He wants to ascend to godhood. And at a certain point, he wants to do that because he kind of wants to, give Mistra the what for, like, oh, you abandoned me and didn't appreciate what I was going to do for you. Well, then I will become a god and you can't do anything and I'll show you. Whereas Astarion is like, I'll become basically the equivalent of a god, sort of. I mean, not quite, because obviously it's a different hierarchy there. But, for a vampire, at least, ascended vampire, that, it's because he just doesn't want anyone to control him again. Not because he's specifically targeting his ex-lover who was mean to him, like...
I think...
I know Gale's more complicated. I do still really like Gale.
Well, I think Astarion's also complicated. This is just...
he's not a good guy. I mean, it's not like he's like, oh, it's just such a good, sweetheart, but...
Like, this is kind of like my interpretation of, like, his... Astarion's trauma and stuff, and I know that everyone's trauma can be different, but like with Astarion, it kind of feels like, yes, I agree that he wants the freedom, but the problem is that because of his trauma and his and how his mindset has been built from that, I feel like when he gets the opportunity to have his freedom, he doesn't know how to discipline it entirely. And my proof of this is if you romance him and you ascend him, he kind of treats you more like a pet.
But it's also kind of indicated that... So if he ascends, he basically becomes a proper vampire, right? But like extra powerful, right?
Vampire, yeah.
But it's also indicated that Cazador, when he was still a spawn, was more like Astarion. Where he had feelings, essentially, and he actually cared and such. But his master, whose name escapes me, if you do the whole thing with the talking, the
scroll or the skull,
like, then it really shows like Cazador himself wasn't just pure evil before he became a vampire. So it's like, it kind of, my interpretation, I think a lot of people's interpretation I've seen online, is that, like, when you become a vampire, you basically lose what humanity you had left. Whereas when you're a spawn, yes, a lot of it sucks because you lose, you don't get the full power of being a vampire, and you get a lot of weaknesses, and, driven by hunger, and then can't, be in the sun, can't cross running bars of water, can't, whatever. But, like,
gotta have a welcome mat to come inside.
Yeah, which is funny. But, like, you still keep some level of humanity. Whether or not you choose to cultivate or destroy that is a different story. And obviously, if you have a master who was over here like, bring me all these innocent people, trick them in whatever way necessary, and they're all gonna either be my food or die or whatever. And sure, it's like you're doing a lot of bad things, but because you're forced to. So it's like... And it's clearly a case if you literally have no choice, not like you could have decided something else, like, no, there was no other option. But, I kind of feel like if Astarion ascends to become an actual vampire, ascended vampire, he changes because
and he loses that humanity.
Yeah. Although again, some arguments also have it where it's some arguments for ascending him have it where it's like, what is it? He just becomes more, I guess, intense for want of a better word.
With his emotions, right?
Yeah, it's like, so instead of like he still loves you as Tab if you romance him, but it's more, instead of just love, it's possessiveness and things like that. So, instead of like, it's like the extreme level of every emotion, the worst version of every like. So it's like
he has the extremes of the good, but he also has the extremes of the bad.
Thank you for knocking over things. I appreciate it.
You knocked over our friend.
Yeah.
But then, that kind of like in the scenario where you ascend him and he has the extremes of the emotions. Let's say that's scenario A. And then in scenario B, let's say that he loses his humanity. Both of these require him to ascend. If he ascends, does he make a good partner?
No, I don't think either of them do that they ascend. Again, unless in Gale's case, you then later ascend with him. But it's like he literally forgets about you for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then only because Withers, who was basically also a god, comes and like summons him, that he shows up. And then he's kind of like, oh yeah, time works differently. And I kind of like, but yeah, come with me. And then it's like, okay, well, at least you guys go together.
Now I'm going to make an argument here that if both ascend and you romance both of them, and you follow along what they want and also what you want, but what they want, I feel like the best outcome from the standpoint of a romantic companion side is Gale. Because by definition, you would also become a god or a goddess.
Only if you want that, if you have that kind of ambition only, I'd say.
But you do have that ability to choose it in the game.
You do.
And then when you do, he becomes the god of ambition. And your domain isn't settled yet.
Yeah, you do have the option, which is nice.
But you already, it doesn't matter if your domain's settled or not, you're already a god or a goddess. And the scene is quite sweet when you're both there.
Yeah.
But Astarion's version does not have that. Astarion's version, my argument is that he ascends, but you don't get a join in that ascension as well.
Yeah, but there is an argument to be made where like it's really unclear, because I know like the D&D lore, BG3, there's some overlap, but it's not all.
It's not all. Yeah.
Like vampires are actually just monsters, I think, in D&D. So there's no romancing them, I think. If I'm wrong. My bad. Let me know. But I have seen arguments being made for like you being like Astarion's like bride, which there is like a thing. I'm not really that familiar, but like vampire bride is more than a vampire spawn, and they have more like actual like freedom and free will and such. Whereas a spawn has no free will over their master. Essentially, it's like you have to do what your master says, and like that's it.
Yeah.
But like, there's that, and then there's also like a hint or room for interpretation that maybe Astarion, after sending, does give you some of his blood, which makes you a proper vampire too. So it's like obviously you're not ascended, because that does require a ritual. Demonic ritual, but you're also not just his pet / slave. So it's really unclear. But ignoring the ascension for both of them, just in terms of the overall romance in the story, personalities, they both are really prickly.
I was actually thinking that exact same word. Yes, they're both very prickly.
Yeah,
the only difference I think in prickliness is that Gale, as mentioned earlier, is more easy to like romance, so that prickliness can kind of like go away slightly sooner. I feel, than Astarion.
Yeah, and Gale's. I mean, part of why he's so easy is because he's very. I think he's the most neutral, probably, of all the companions. Like you can kind of go either way with him, where it's like. Like you can help the tieflings or you can help the goblins, and he'll kind of understand it both. So it's like you can do whatever and it kind of works, which makes sense with his ending, too. But it's like and him being so ambitious, it's kind of like follow the power, right? again, point for Astarion though is like follow the freedom. And yes, power, but only in the sense of hiccups now. Only in the sense of like with power can come freedom.
Yeah.
Gale is like he just wants power. He already has freedom. Once Netherese orb is taken care of, he's already got everything he needs. He just wants more.
I think with Astarion's case, like if you romance him and you don't ascend him, the pursuit of freedom that he wants, although he might idly miss not being able to have the power, because he will still be a vampire spawn. He's still limited by
the
being in the darkness and all that stuff. But you as a partner, either at the end or in your own personal headcanon, can kind of have it where you guys, you guys both like fight through any of that. You
work together.
Yeah, you allow him to get freedom, but it's like in a renewed kind of way. Because and kind of like what I said earlier, where it's like he doesn't really have that discipline of understanding what freedom would mean. He sees it as like, if I get this penultimate power, then I'll be free. But you can provide another solution where it's like, hey, you don't need this penultimate power.
They both, if you aren't romancing Astarion, he'll still find his way. He'll still like work with the vampire spawn who have been released if you released them. He'll still work more or less like an assassin for hire, but he, as he says in his like an epilogue, kind of like no one cares who you kill as long as you kill the right people kind of thing. So it's like he's using his powers for good, if you will, with the skills that he has and all that. And then Gale, of course, goes and like he imparts, if he doesn't understand all that, he gets back into his good graces. Not romantically involved, I don't think. Just simply she forgives and all that. And then he imparts his knowledge, his vast knowledge, on others. So it's like they both can have the capacity for good paths forward.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think that in terms of personalities and romancing options, like, just like as you proceed in the game, it's, I like them both. Astarion's still, of course, the best, naturally. But I do kind of feel like, probably because, my first playthrough, I kept romancing Gale. And then
everyone
it can be helped. It can't be helped, And then the second playthrough, I romanced Astarion. Until we broke up. It wasn't my fault, okay? I was trying to save Karlach, and then they didn't program in the game where you could still be with Astarion 6 months later, which I kind of get, because you think that you're disappearing forever, and he's already left on the docks, which is a whole issue that I will never get past. Where I think everyone has that kind of thing, right? It's like, if anyone liked or romanced Astarion, and it's like, he is burning in the sun, and whether you romance him or not, he runs off because he needs to, and you just kind of hang out in the docks like,
let's continue this conversation here.
I know. It's like, you should have done that part after the Karlach part, not before.
Yeah.
Why was it before?
I know that it's a big magical moment, but like you could all just run to like a shadowed place.
Or again, take care of the Karlach part first. You make your decisions regarding Karlach, and then the sun has come up, and then Astarion is like the last person to make the decision, because then it's like you can then at minimum fade to black as Astarion's running, and then you can kind of imagine that you also ran after him like the second, But anyway, I got totally off on that. But that's right. And then the third playthrough. Yes, the first one I just went to beginning of Act 3 and then did a second whole playthrough, and then you and I did one together. And that was when Astarion and we finally got our happy ending. I was like, and I don't mean like that, but also I do mean like that. It took 3 playthroughs.
You finally got the man.
It finally was perfect. It was like my character. I was like, I'm just gonna create a character that's all about like justice and I chose a cleric.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to go for justice and a bit of bloodlust, I guess. There. And it was weird. It was the perfect combination for Astarion. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even plan on this, because that was the playthrough where I was like, I'm just going to romance whoever whoever like naturally makes out, we're gonna try and go for anyone because it was failing so much before. And that was the one. And I was like, this is the best. And also, I hated Gale in that. Yeah, he was really annoying to me in the cleric version.
I remember you not liking Gale.
Yeah,
in that playthrough.
He really irritated me. So, you know, but yeah.
So we all admit that Gale is the best.
So Astarion's the best.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Look, Astarion is just a vampire elf.
We're gonna do our
yes,
dice
we should
roll
do that dice
just
roll.
to make that
D20.
consistent.
Let's
D20.
go.
All right. So you can have 2 rolls because if you get a critical fail somehow,
that was
you want to have
hilarious.
an option. All right. So 14.
14.
Oh, this is to show that Astarion versus Gale. You know, higher number wins.
Yes.
Do we need to clarify that? Maybe. All right, and then 7.
7.
All right. Well, I mean, I wanted to do the thing where we totally combine numbers.
All right. Yeah,
21.
combine them. So 21.
Oh, let's see if it's too high, and then we don't do that.
19.
Oh, that's not great.
I need to get a 1.
Thank you. Please do. 7.
Oh, 7. All right. So
26.
26 versus
21 for Astarion.
Gale.
So, yeah. Well, the dice lie, so don't listen to them. So, what do you think, Gale or Astarion, or obviously Halsin, or Wyll?
Oh my goodness, Halsin.
Or Wyll. Wyll's great.
Wyll, yeah.
It's just there was a case of like they dropped the ball on his character. Yeah. He had so much potential, and they just kind of made him just a generic nice guy at the end. Not fully, you know, but you know. Anyways, yeah. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.
Yep. Bye.
You gotta go.
I can't move. I'm stuck. You're like, you gotta go, and I'm like, I can't move.
It must be you. It can only be you.